All right, welcome back, boys and girls. It's week 6 now. So this is episode 7 of the Chaingang Podcast. We got Ryan back this week. He decided to show up again. So I'm glad he didn't leave the pod forever. So we got him back this week. But we got a lot to go over today. But I figure, we should start off with, some things we learned from week 5. There was a lot of things that happened. One of the things I personally learned, kickers fucking suck. Okay, there were so many extra points missed. Watching that Bengals-Packers game was treacherous. It was terrible. They missed so many game-tying field goals, and also so many extra points were missed. I understand that they lengthened and they made the extra point a little bit longer, but still, if you're a kicker, you should be able to make a 25, 30-yard kick. That should be automatic every time. But yeah, kickers suck and you can't rely on them. So if it comes down to it, you might as well just go for it on 4th down at the end of the game.
Well, you know what I learned from week 5? There are way too many injuries happening. We got Russell Wilson, Saquon, Juju, bless up, Kenny Golladay, and Danny Dimes all going down hard this week, it's looking like last year all over again. It's getting bad.
Dude, I felt so bad for the Giants. They already had 2 or 3 receivers that were injured. And then literally their only other healthy offensive stars all got injured in that game.
Rip.
It was brutal.
Giants.
It was brutal.
And they're still going to beat the Eagles in the division.
Yeah, true. Yep. Danny Dimes is going to bring it back. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to play this week. Even though he couldn't.
I don't think he knows that.
I was gonna say I don't know if he has any idea because he couldn't find the sideline after he got up. But. Justin, what did you learn from week 5?
Tell me what you learned, Justin.
It says here I'm supposed to say that Big Ben is a terrible quarterback.
No, fucking Big Ben is back. It even low key rhymes in a way. Ryan and I went to the game and he fucking went off because we were there.
Dude's a dog. He looked at me and Dylan and said, "You guys are why I'm doing good."
He threw a 50-yard touchdown. Okay, he threw to us in the end zone that we would have been in if my dumbass didn't just park in a parking garage, and we ended up going to some other shady place. The Broncos.
The Broncos.
Oh, Broncos.
Oh, that was.
Right,
you know what? You know what? That was the pick. That was the pick that you fucked up on. That was the one that made you lose because you picked the Broncos and we picked the Steelers. So that's what you fucking get for not believing in Big Ben. And don't even say because it's Denver. Denver has a good defense. I don't know what you're talking about. That was impressive.
I didn't say that.
Big
Yeah,
Ben
Justin,
was able to
you didn't say it, but we knew you were thinking
You were going to say that, though.
I wasn't going to say that. I'm a big believer in Denver this year. I like Denver this year. They're looking good. They have a good defense.
They are not looking good. They are not looking good.
They've had a fine season.
They've only won against teams that didn't have any wins.
Anyways, everybody, it's looking like Big Ben came back last week. Do I think he's going to stay? Absolutely not.
Bro, he's staying. You already know.
I'm not
Division
a big believer in
champs.
Big Ben.
Division
I put him
champs.
under Danny Dimes. So if you watch last week's episode,
you know what?
I'm not a
I'll
big
take
believer in
that
Danny
because I
Dimes.
fucking praised Danny Dimes last week. So I'll
Look, you want to know something I actually learned this week? Something I actually learned not on Dylan's list is that I'm done believing in the Patriots defense. All preseason, I was hyped about the Patriots defense. I was like, their linebacking core is looking good. Their edge rushers are looking good. They have a great cornerback or a great DB depth. It's what happened. We give away Stephon Gilmore. We almost lose to the Texans. It is terrible. There's no pass rush. Even our zone linebackers aren't hitting their zones. I don't know what is happening. There's penalties everywhere, and it's pissing me off.
Is J.C. Jackson not carrying the team?
What'd you say?
Is J.C. Jackson not single-handedly carrying the entire defense?
There's nothing wrong with J.C. Jackson. He's the golden boy. But the rest of the defense as a whole, not looking great. And I'm very upset about it.
Can I just say that it was one of the funniest things ever when we saw on the scoreboard that Davis Mills was slowly climbing up the passing leader list for the day, and that the Texans were actually in line to beat the Patriots. Like they were winning at one point. It was so
Patriots let some guy who had been off the practice squad for 2 days drop 109 yards. I've never even heard of this guy.
It was great. I loved watching it. They really needed Anthony Miller out there. Or actually, no, they didn't. They didn't even need Anthony Miller. They went off without him. That was a beaut to watch. Oh my God, I would have lost, dude. I would have lost my shit if they would have beaten the Patriots.
Dude, if
that
would
have been the funniest thing.
If the Texans beat the Patriots, that may have been enough for me.
You just end the season right there.
Trade Mac Jones
and everything.
13 Oh my God. Well, that's what Justin learned, I guess, in week 5. But Stat Boy, what is something that you learned?
I learned that the Panthers are absolute dog water without Christian McCaffrey.
That's right.
No way you can lose to the Eagles, man. Let's go Eagles.
I know.
They need him back badly.
They really do. They do. And, I saw that the Eagles have the 3rd best pass defense in the NFL. So like that would have been the perfect game for McCaffrey to come back to go off against a terrible Eagles rush defense. Chuba Hubbard didn't even play that bad, but I don't know if you can't beat the Eagles, like if you want to be a contender and you should still be able to beat the Eagles without your best player. Realistically, like I don't know. It's tough out there for the Panthers, but since McCaffrey gets injured so often, I don't know if they're going to make it.
Well, I mean, we talked about that last week. I don't think the Panthers are contenders anytime soon. They're looking at a wild card at best. So I think they're still hopeful for that. But they're definitely not competing for a Super Bowl, especially not without Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are kind of the things we learned from week 5. But we got a lot of other topics we're going to talk about today. Obviously, we got to go over how the Seahawks will do without, Russell Wilson. He's supposed to be out for a while. And then, unfortunately, John Gruden, made some bad decisions, sent some risky emails. So we will go over what to make of his resigning. We got our bad calls of the week. I wanted to go over what you guys thought on who was the better team in the NFL right now, the Bills or the Cardinals. Because those two teams are looking like the best ones right now. Then we obviously got to talk about the Chiefs. Are the Chiefs in trouble? Are they fucked? Are they not going to make the playoffs? Definitely don't look like Super Bowl contenders right now. Then we got our controversial calls. And we're filming this on a Friday. So Zach Ertz just got traded. I guess it was last night. So we'll talk about that. And then obviously, we got our game picks. But Stat Boy, introduce us into the first topic.
So, topic 1, will the Seahawks be able to survive without Russell Wilson? He jammed his middle finger on Aaron Donald's helmet while trying to throw last game, and he recently had surgery on that finger, and supposedly he can be out for up to 5 weeks. Without him, Geno Smith is next up, but how will they do with him at the helm of this Seahawks offense?
I'm not going to lie. I think Geno Smith actually looked kind of good in the 4th quarter against the Rams. He was slinging it around. He was finding DK Metcalf. Metcalf had like 54 yards and a touchdown in the 4th quarter. So, I don't know. I think Geno Smith looked pretty good. I think the Seahawks might be They might be solid, but, I mean, their defense still sucks. So, honestly, I think that's more of a problem than Geno Smith.
I don't think that. I mean, the defense was a problem as it was, but their entire offense is based off of Russell Wilson. Like, this isn't the Titans where you can just have a mediocre quarterback and give the ball to anyone else on the team and still try to win. When you think of the Seahawks offense, you think of Russell Wilson.
I mean, that's true, but it's not like the Seahawks don't have any other weapons they can rely on. I feel like Geno Smith's good enough where he can give the ball to those weapons.
I'm going to agree with Dylan. I did like Geno Smith's play the other night. He was looking good, especially for a backup quarterback, especially for Geno Smith, who's been the butt of many jokes over the last couple of years. And I don't think they're going to have if Russell Wilson is out for 5 weeks, I don't think they're going to have a great time. Defense has already been struggling. And then putting in a backup quarterback is never a good combination. I think you're going to see him play more like a Heineke or something, where you're going to see him have moments, maybe win a game, maybe two, but overall, I don't think is going to be a good time for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, like Geno Smith, he threw for 130 yards, touchdown. The interception he threw was not his fault because Tyler Lockett just tripped over his own feet, and then he kind of just threw it to no one. But the Seahawks don't have the toughest. I mean, they have a decently tough schedule for the weeks that Russell Wilson is supposed to be out. So this week they play the Steelers Sunday night, so that's obviously a loss. Then they play the Saints, then the Jags, and then they got a bye week. Then they play the Packers and then the Cardinals. So it's a more than tough schedule, for the Seahawks coming up. But I mean, I don't think this is, Geno Smith will be able to put them in a good enough position to make the playoffs once Russell Wilson comes back. I think they're kind of going to be screwed at that point, and they might just let Geno Smith keep on going. I don't know. I mean, they're already in a tough division, so it's going to be hard as it is to make the playoffs. Statboy, what was he does. Statboy, what was what's the history of starting QBs getting injured like early on in the year and then the teams making the playoffs?
So of the last 19 teams that had this happen to them, only 2 have ever made the playoffs with their backup quarterback. Last season that it happened, last time the Eagles lost Carson Wentz and Nick Foles took them all the way to the Super Bowl.
Thanks.
So they could have another Nick Foles and Geno Smith. Who knows?
I don't think they will. Their defense is not good enough to lead them into the playoffs. I honestly don't know why the Seahawks defense is so bad. They have 2 of the best defensive players in the NFL. So I'm a little confused on, why that is. But yeah, I think the Seahawks are fucked here. Not that Geno Smith is that bad. I just think they have a tough schedule and they're already 2-3. So like, I don't know. I don't think Geno Smith's going to be able to set them up in a position to win.
Rid of this. It'll be gone.
All right, Statboy, what's up next?
All right, this just in. John Gruden has recently resigned as head coach of the Raiders because of his language and slurs he had used in emails dating back to 2011 to Washington football team president Bruce Allen. It's clear that this was the best decision for both parties, and how unfortunate it was. Is John Gruden really over? Is his football career done? And how much will this impact the Raiders locker room?
I don't know if you guys heard or saw any of the emails that John Gruden was sending. They were beyond fucked. In my this was I'm not totally in agreement with some of the cancel culture stuff that goes on. But I feel like this one was, pretty liable. I don't see a way that John Gruden ever gets back into any realm of football whatsoever, even as a commentator.
I'm gonna disagree with you there. A lot of people are saying this is probably it for him, but I definitely think he could coach like Pee Wees in Alabama or something.
Well, I mean, I guess the children is probably the one group that he did not offend in his emails.
I agree.
Yeah. In all seriousness, I don't see him having a professional coaching job anytime in the future. I mean, there were so many emails just directed at so many different kinds of people.
It was over 3 years. I didn't realize how long it was. It was 3 years of these.
Yes. Black people, gay people,
women,
the commissioner, just everyone you think of was targeted, and I don't see how he comes back from that.
Yeah, I definitely don't either.
He even got taken out of the Buccaneers Ring of Honor when he was there as a Super Bowl winning coach. And I mean, I think that's now that's 2 teams that have totally written him off. And I can't imagine any other team that decides maybe we'll be okay. Because even if he's a good coach, I mean, PR wise, no one's gonna be happy if anyone ever takes him again.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as the Raiders go, this is huge. Losing your head coach is always terrible, but I think they promoted their special teams coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive coordinator was also involved in some of those emails, so I think they wanted to avoid that. But a special teams coordinator who has never been a head coach at any level it's just not looking good for the Raiders. They already were fumbling a little bit as the season was progressing, and this is just, I think it's going to have a huge impact.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you there, Justin. I especially with Carl Nassib being like one of the first openly gay players, in the NFL. He just happens that he's on the Raiders. This is a huge impact to their locker room, and I don't even know like what the player. I mean, the players are probably just questioning everything now. But they're going to be disorganized, and they're already on the downslope as it is. So this is not going to be good for the Raiders.
I think that it won't be good. I don't think it'll be good just because, like you said, Justin, it's really hard to lose a head coach, especially when you just pull your special teams coach up. But I also do think this could potentially help locker room morale, because not to stand up for Antonio Brown, but Antonio Brown did kind of call this a while ago that John Gruden was, quote, a cracker. So if that leads to anything, at least at this point now, if he really was like a locker room burden to people with morale, this could increase that they're now like better together as a team.
That is true. But I'm not sure how the Raiders will do this year, but we will see. But obviously, it's unfortunate that John Gruden was involved, and I believe they're now investigating the Washington football team because they were kind of pretty involved in this too. As they were trying to pay off the cheerleaders for to keep hush hush about all of this. So we'll kind of see what happens with them. But yeah, again, unfortunate. But Stat Boy, what do we got up next?
Next up, everybody's favorite segment. We're gonna look at the controversial calls with our infinite football knowledge. We'll say if these are good, bad, or just downright terrible.
All right, yeah, the first one we got up, the Browns let Austin Ekeler score late in the game when the Browns were down by 1 with about 30 seconds left. I don't know if you guys saw the play, but there were no offensive linemen pushing Austin Ekeler in. There was just about 4 or 5 Browns, defensive linemen just pulling Ekeler into the end zone so they could get the ball back. I think I'm not saying this is a bad call. I just think it's obviously a controversial one for sure, made by Stefanski. But I want to know your guys' thoughts on this. So, I mean, what did you think of this? Did you think that the Browns could have just stopped them here, or what are you thinking?
I think this was a good call. I mean, the Chargers are a very good offensive team, and they're probably going to score more likely than not. And if it took them 3 more downs to score and they score, then there's no time on the clock. And the Browns had a very good offense that game. They obviously knew how to score. I mean, put up like 40-plus points, 0 turnovers. Like, that's incredible offensively. So they knew they could rely on their offense to have the ability to score in that amount of time. But if they gave them less time, there was no way. So I think it was the right call. Plus, as someone who has Austin Ekeler on their fantasy team, I was very happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it was good because they were only they were down by 1. So like, the Chargers kicking a field goal, would still put them in a situation where they needed a touchdown. So they really needed the ball back with as much time as possible. So it was definitely questionable. It was definitely, weird, but I think it was the right call by Stefanski here.
Yeah, I mean, you can either start your drive within the 5 or at least the 25 plus, depending on your return. It sucks, but it's kind of what you had to do it in that situation. So I get it.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, when you put up 42 points and lose, that's always, a tough thing to deal with. But yeah, right call by the Browns here.
You go 11-5 and lose.
Yeah, true. But Stat Boy, what's the next bad call we got up?
The 49ers passing on 4th and 1 at the 1-yard line at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, this one really baffled me here. The 49ers were forced to start Trey Lance because, Jimmy G was out. And it's not like Trey Lance played that bad. But on the first drive, he threw an interception. And, and they were moving the ball pretty well. But they had a 3rd and 1, and they tried to run it with him, and they didn't get it. And then for some reason, in a 0-0 game, they decided to throw for it on 4th and 1, which I just did not understand at all. I thought that was a terrible call. Why not just take the points when, you're against a team like the Cardinals, and you're going to need the points later in the game. And, Trey Lance is already moving the ball, so he's going to be able to get it down there again. So why not just take the points? I just didn't understand this call at all.
Well, we had a similar talk about this last week. Teams do it to try and set a tone, and especially with a young quarterback, I think the difference it would make to have that confidence, going on a 4th and 1, especially making a pass to do it early in the game could help a lot, but the detriment by not making it would also hurt you a lot, I think, especially with like a young quarterback confidence. So I really don't get why they won't take the points and just move on, play smart football.
Yeah, and also they didn't have any big red zone options. Debo Samuel's a good receiver, but he's not exactly, the best guy to just, throw it up to him and go get it. And Kittle was out this game, so and especially when you have a big guy like Trey Lance, you would think he would be able to, push it forward, especially with that offensive line.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird that first off, it's weird they went for it in general. Second off, I wouldn't have thrown it. Like you said, without Kittle, just having Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, none of those are something you can just rely on in the red zone. I would have, and Trey Lance is doing fine rushing the ball. I mean, he was basically their running back the whole game as well. So if you are going to go for it for some weird reason, I wouldn't have thrown it. That seems like a poor decision.
Yeah, that's another. Sorry, I was just going to say they also don't have a great backfield. Like their running back depth isn't phenomenal, especially with Mostert out. So I understand why they wouldn't run it.
But, the thing is, I honestly also didn't understand this game. Trey Lance had 16 carries, and their next running back had 9, and then they had a couple guys have 1. Why didn't they run the ball more? I don't understand that. Or why they ran it with Trey Lance so much.
I didn't realize they ran it that much. That's an insane amount to be running a quarterback, especially a rookie quarterback. That is a recipe for injuries. I have no idea why they would do that.
Well, and it's not even he had 89 yards on 16 carries, so it's not like, he didn't run well. I just question why they didn't run more. I understand the Cardinals have a good D-line, but you still got to run more than 9 times. I mean, you're not the Eagles. Come on, you got to run the ball. Yeah, Can I just say – oh, sorry, Justin, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, you have to have some sort of balance to an offense. You have to keep defenses guessing. If they're just preparing for the pass every time and you don't start running, it's only going to hurt your team. So I have no idea why they're not trying to run more. Even without the great depth at running back, I don't get why they're not trying to run at least some.
Yeah, without it, you just become the Steelers last year, and we saw how that went.
Yeah, exactly. So the 49ers kind of confused me this week. And
they suck this year, bro. Let's be honest, they're not that good this year.
I mean, they're 2-3. They're doing okay. I don't know. They have a lot of injuries as usual. They're the 49ers. So, but yeah, that was definitely a bad call on Shenanigans' end. But the Ekeler, letting him score, that was just more just a weird, thing that happens. So, I kind of just want to talk about.
All right, next up, which is the better team in the NFL? Bills or the undefeated Cardinals? Debate.
The baby.
Well, the Cardinals are the only undefeated team right now. They're 5-0. I think they've beaten more impressive teams than the Bills have. They've beaten the Rams, the Titans, the 49ers, and then the Jags and the Vikings. But the Bills, really the only team that they've beaten that is of any mention is the Chiefs. So I think the Cardinals are the better team.
I'd have to say the Cardinals.
I gotta go with the Cardinals too
because of the teams they've played. This is awkward.
I hear what you said.
Oh, we just both started speaking. It was just horrible.
You guys both said the Cardinals and then just said the same reason. I'm pretty sure.
Anywho, so I'd say the Cardinals because I really like the Bills as a team, but they're totally unproven offensively because the only time they played a good defense was the Steelers and they lost. And maybe that was just a week one fluke. Maybe the Steelers just played really well that day. But it's hard to call them the better team until they prove themselves. Because the Chiefs are a really good team, but the Chiefs defense is awful. It's complete dog water.
That's true. This is one game the Steelers defense was fully healthy.
Exactly.
And they played really well.
And the Cardinals haven't had that issue. They've played really good teams. Like they've played the Rams defense and won. They have proven themselves. So I think that's the big difference.
Yeah, now don't get me wrong. I think Josh Allen is an absolute stud. I think he's even a better quarterback than Kyler Murray. But I think the Cardinals as a whole have been able to put together more. Their offense has just been clicking. Kyler Murray's been able to move the ball, getting out of the pocket, running. Their defense has been playing well. Their pass rush has been great. And just as a whole, I think they've been clicking more than the Bills have. I mean, that's shown against way better teams that they've played. I mean, you guys all took the Rams. I didn't because I was right. And no, but they've been playing up against some great teams and winning. So I definitely have to go with the Cardinals for now.
I will say, though,
so they'll be unstoppable.
Oh, yeah, true. Their offense is now complete with Zach Ertz. But I will say, I think the Bills' defense is better than the Cardinals for sure. I mean, they held two teams scoreless.
The defense held up really well against the Chiefs' offense, though.
They did. Tyreek Hill only had 63 yards and Kelsey had 57. And they got 2 interceptions on Mahomes. So they played really well against them. For sure. But I mean, they're honestly, both quarterbacks are playing like MVPs. I think the running back duos are looking good. Obviously, the Bills are putting up better numbers offensively because they've played worse defenses. But yeah, I think these are, I think this is the Super Bowl matchup right now. But I'm honestly a little surprised that we all agreed that the Cardinals were better. I honestly thought some guys were going to take the Bills here because of how dominant their defense has been.
Yeah, well, I mean, not to poop on them. The Bills have been a great team, but the Cardinals have just been phenomenal this year.
Yeah,
it's true. Well, we'll see how long the Cardinals can last, because last year they, kind of choked it at the end of the year. Yeah, we'll see how Kyler Murray does. I'm hoping for the best. I love both quarterbacks. But, we all know that Josh Allen was going to put up this kind of season. So we all predicted he was going to be MVP. I still think that's funny as fuck. I don't know how we did that. But BS Stat Boy, what are we talking about next?
Are the Chiefs in trouble?
Yes, to put it simply. I know they've had probably one of the hardest schedules, honestly, of any of the teams. They've lost to the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Bills. Those are good teams. It's not like they're losing against dud teams, but I still think this is a necessary question, to look over here because I think that defense is so bad that they have to be worried.
Yeah, I think the Bucs beating them in the Super Bowl actually set the tone on how to play the Chiefs. And now all you have to do is mildly shut down their offense, and they can't outscore you. I mean, that was the whole game plan, is just outscore their opponents every week. When you have people like Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, Mahomes, it's easy to do. But now that the Bucs showed people how to stop that offense, and it seems like that's what teams are doing now. And these are teams with really good offenses. So if you find a team with a good defense and a good offense, they're going to beat the Chiefs every time.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely scary for the Chiefs. It never looks good for a team that's been to 2 Super Bowls back to back to, go 2-3 to start a season. And yeah, they've been playing some tough teams, but these are teams that they might see in the playoffs if they make the playoffs. Like, it's not an excuse to lose to them. You should have game plans for them, be prepared to beat them just like you would be in the playoffs.
Right. And, Stat Boy, I want you to give us some numbers on their defense because I don't think people realize how bad this defense has truly been.
Oh, they're garbage, guys. They're really bad. They've been giving up an average of 437 yards a game, 32 points per game average, 308 passing yards average. The deep ball especially has been just killing them, and over 141 rushing yards per game. They're also not doing too well. They're losing the turnover battle. They're losing about 7 turnovers. So they're not doing
because
well.
honestly, Mahomes he has 6 interceptions too. So like it's not like he's still playing like, pretty well, but he's not playing like MVP Mahomes. And it's hard to when, you get the ball like 2 minutes later because the defense is giving up 32 points a game.
Yeah, I saw an interesting stat the other day that the Chiefs defense is giving up like 7.1 yards per play or something like that, which is one higher than the NFL historical average, and 2 more yards per play than like the freaking 2012 Patriots or whatever year they had some crazy offense were putting up per play. So their defense is significantly worse than the best Patriots offense was. Good.
Jeez. Well, and I think like Chris Jones being out here has been a huge part of that because their defensive line has not been what it was last year. I mean, guys have all the time in the world to make throws. And when you're facing guys like Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, you can't give them that much time. It's you got to be able to pressure them and, being able to lock down the receivers. But they don't really have that many good corners either. It's just kind of Tyrann Mathieu. And I feel really bad for him because, he can't cover everybody. So something's got to change on that Chiefs defense for sure if they want to win. Because honestly, at this point, I don't even know if they're like, are they at risk to not even make the playoffs?
I wouldn't say they're at risk to not make the playoffs, but I'd definitely start being worried. Something's got to turn around soon because you lose another game or two, within the next couple of weeks, and I'd say, there's a chance you don't make it.
They're last in their division, though.
I know they are. That's scary for them. They haven't been there before.
The teams above them are kind of on the downfall as well now too.
Well, I mean, if the Chiefs are already 1 game ahead of that downfall, so if they keep sloping down, they can find themselves in last. Imagine that going to the Super Bowl then finishing in last in your division, just the next year. It might be a first. But yeah, and the Chiefs have got to figure out how to get more guys involved. Like teams have been just shutting down Tyreek Hill, and then they kind of just have to worry about Travis Kelce. And Kelce is a great tight end, and he's still putting up decent numbers. But it's a lot easier to stop them that way. But I will say, Patrick,
time to shine.
Exactly. And I think that's why they got Josh Gordon is because they realized this, and McCole Hardman is probably not going to be able to put up those kind of numbers that they need. So yeah, I think the Chiefs are definitely in trouble. They got to start winning primetime games. Their defense has to stop being dog water and giving up like the most points in the league. So yeah, but we'll see how the Chiefs do. I think they'll barely make the playoffs, even if or just not make them at all. But I think the Chargers are going to get the division here, and I don't see the Chiefs making a deep playoff run, especially with that bad defense. So, but we will see if they can prove me wrong. But Stat Boy, what do we got up next?
All right, so we've already gone over the bad calls that were made. So let's go over some controversial calls that could have gone either way that just were very hard to understand.
Yeah, the first one we got up, which was kind of unfortunate here because, as you guys know, I hate the Ravens. But the first one was the Colts forward pass, I think fumble recovery touchdown. I guess that's the best way of saying it. But yeah, we're going to look at the play and, we'll see what you guys think. But Lamar Jackson fumbled a lot on the goal line here. But yeah, as they're taking it back. But I believe that was the forward pass that they were talking about, but that did not look like a forward pass at all. All right, so it's clearly a fumble. That's, okay, I guess it just ends there. But yeah, he's right there, okay? This guy is not – he's not ahead of Darius Leonard. This is clearly a pitch back. I don't understand why this was called back.
something that I heard someone say I think it was during the game, was that part of the issue with the call was because, yes, the pitch was directly backwards, but because it bounced off his helmet, he made the catch ahead of Darius Leonard.
But
I don't think that's the rules.
I don't think that matters. It's technically not a forward pass.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand that call here.
No on that. It didn't look like a forward pass.
Not at all. That was big for the game too, because that touchdown got called back, and that was a game that went down to overtime.
I was going to say, at the time, it didn't seem like that big of a deal because the Colts were up by so much, and they still got the fumble anyway. But yeah, I think the refs really fucked it on that one. I don't see how you can explain how that was a forward pass. It clearly was not.
That was a sweet play.
It was, and they cheated the Colts out of a dub there. But the last call we got up was a pretty comedic one, honestly. I was really confused watching it. But it was the Seahawks double punt on Thursday night. I was really confused when they, at first blocked it, and then Dickerson decided to punt again, which I did not think was legal, but then there was no flag called. Statboy, I would like you to read the punt rule that I have in there first before we watch it, so that we can know kind of what we're looking for.
So punts that do not cross the line of scrimmage may still be played by the kicking team, and there's no distinction whether the ball is blocked, shanked, or whiffed. Field goal attempts are in the same classification as punts and scrimmage kicks. So while it is still legally a kicked ball and a recovery by the kicking team beyond the line of scrimmage would be a dead ball, is a live ball behind the line. And the kicking team has not lost any of its options. So let's take a look at the punt, see if it met this criteria.
So, yeah, right, they line up, punt's blocked. Then he starts to run, and then he's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to punt it again. It was a good punt.
It was a really good punt.
It was, we'll say, I think maybe the momentum behind it helped, or, just the low angle of it. But I was a little confused. So, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I guess this technically was legal.
Yeah, I guess according to this weird rule that no one knows, it was an okay.
Well, I don't think it's that no one knows it. I just think this is a very rare occurrence. Like, sure. It's like if the snap went overhead and he picked it up, you can still punt it. It's the same concept. It's just you literally never see this happen.
Yeah, the fact that it touched his foot twice is what's different than usual, though.
That's fair. But yeah, I mean, we just heard Statboy read the rule. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just funny because of the direction the ball went when he blocked it. It almost never goes that way. It's like straight on. So, the punter doesn't really have a chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I agree. I guess this was legal, even though it did look, pretty shady, to be honest. So I guess the refs did above average this week. I will say they made some pretty decent calls. So kudos to the refs for making some solid calls that, were kind of tough this week. But we got one more topic before we get into our game picks this week. It actually happened last night. So, Statboy, what did happen last night?
My man, Zach Ertz is gone all the way to Arizona. Sad times.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time before Zach Ertz got traded here. But it was for a 5th-round pick and a corner that nobody knows. But the Cardinals made out pretty well in this trade, I thought. I gave them an A- for this trade.
Oh. No, I mean, I like the trade. I do think the Cardinals won because who is Gay Towan? I don't know. That's not even a real person. And, a 5th-round pick could go either way. But also, Zach Ertz has obviously declined from where he was. He's not the Zach Ertz he used to be. The Eagles have proved that Dallas Goedert kind of took over. Zach Ertz is barely even a tight end one anymore. So It's a good trade, but it's not like a great trade, I don't think.
I think this is a great trade for the Cardinals. I mean, Zach Ertz definitely isn't who he was. But I mean, on a team where you already have lots of passing options, you already have a decent backfield, you already have a quarterback who can get out of the pocket, who can make throws. Picking up a tight end, which was a position of weakness for them, I think it's fine. And for a 5th-round pick, chances are you aren't going to get a return on that to what you would have got for what Zach Ertz is going to be for the next, year or two.
Yeah, but I think you guys are forgetting that their starting tight end, Max Williams, is now out for the year.
I think when Max Williams was in, he was out for the year.
I don't know. He was actually kind of solid. I feel like he got a decent amount of red zone targets, but I think that was like the most important part of this trade was that the Cardinals have just another red zone option. Because they already have DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green, but now they also have Zach Ertz. And I think this was a great trade for the Cardinals. The Eagles, they traded a loyal tight end. I guess it was only a matter of time, till he got traded, but the Cardinals did well here. So, Stat Boy, what is our – we know we got the game picks as our last topic. But what were our records last week?
So, person in first place was Stat Boy himself. Record of 13-3. Ryan, you are safe due to my spectacular football knowledge. And the man that came in third, who will be getting the punishment, Justin, 11-5. Dylan just squeaked it out with 12-4. So Justin
11-5 as the losing record. That's tough.
Justin's the big loser this week.
But I will say that this is why Stat Boy is not making the picks every week, because we would just all get punished if he were too.
He's too good.
I am
too good. 13. Like, who would have thought the Eagles would have beat the Panthers?
Only the Eagles.
He also made some dumb. He agreed with me that the Giants were going to win. Maybe they would have. Danny, you don't know. They had 3 offensive players go out there. You don't know. So, Justin, we decided that your punishment will be the spicy 1-chip challenge.
Ooh.
So it's
Yay.
give you yeah. I don't know how you are with spicy food, but I think you're probably not well enough to handle this chip.
Where do I get this chip from?
Well, I think some gas stations sell them, but it's not
good.
I feel like I want some company while I do it.
Yeah, we'll be here to talk to you.
Yeah, we'll talk you through it. But yeah, that's your punishment this week.
And to wash it down, you get McDonald's.
You're going 11-5.
Yep. And you
all right.
You only have 1 bottle of water.
No,
I don't know about that. I'm buying a milk jug.
He washes it down with McDonald's Sprite, nothing else.
Oh, why McDonald's Sprite?
Because it's spicy in itself.
Gosh, well, that's gonna be fun to watch Justin do that. This week. But we will skip the Eagles-Bucks prediction, considering that we missed it. But I think we can all say that we would have picked the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Stat Boy, who's playing in London this week?
Ooh, good one across the pond. The Dolphins versus the Jags. Some important notes. Dolphins have a record of 1-3 in London, and the Jags are 500 with a 4-4 record. Both defenses only allowing an average of 30 points per game. And the Dolphins are only allowing 3.7 rushing yards per carry. And the Jags are averaging themselves 129 rushing yards a game. So some injuries to the Dolphins. Jacoby Brissett is questionable. Will Fuller is out. Byron Jones, Devontae Parker, Xavier Howard and Tua. All those guys might not make the trip. And then the Jags, Tyson Campbell is questionable. Miles Jack is out, along with Brandon Linder.
I think Tua is expected to come back this week, but I'm not sure. I kind of just put questionable because, expected to come back is not exactly definite. But if Tua plays here, I think I'm going to take the Dolphins. The Jags are just looking terrible. Urban Meyer has definitely lost the locker room. I think that team is in shambles. I don't know, how they're going to be able to win games this year. So I'm going to take the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go for the Dolphins too. I think they have the better defense regardless of which quarterback plays. But if Tua plays, I think that definitely gives them a bigger advantage.
I would have to agree. With Tua playing, definitely. There's no question about it. If Tua and Jacoby Brissett are out, though, I don't think they'll win because the fact that both of them are questionable is kind of worrisome. But I think either way, the Dolphins' defense will help carry them, and the Jags they just haven't been able to put it together yet. So,
Stepway, what's the next game we got on?
Got a good one. The Chargers versus the Ravens. Justin Herbert has over 335 passing yards in 3 of 5 games. The Chargers defense is doing well, giving up only 157 rushing yards per game. And the Ravens offense is averaging 140 rushing yards per game. And the Chargers are 4-1 versus teams over 500. Lamar Jackson has led 3 fourth-quarter comebacks to win this year. And the Chargers have stopped 2 game-winning drives. So we might see some butting of heads, a big clash here. The Chargers could be without Brian Bulaga, Kenneth Murray, and then Mike Williams is questionable. Ravens questionables include Lamar Jackson, Ronnie Stanley, Sammy Watkins, and Alejandro Villanueva. And that's it.
I think Lamar Jackson has been questionable the last couple of weeks, so I'm going to expect him to play here. And that's how I'm going to make my decision. This is going to be a really good game. I'm excited to watch this. I think these are probably two of some of the best teams in the AFC right now, not including the Bills. But I think the Chargers are going to take it here. Justin Herbert is, looking really good. The Chargers offense is just steamrolling everybody. And I think the, Chargers are going to be able to kind of contain Lamar Jackson, with the great edge rushers they have.
Yeah, I agree. That Chargers D-line has been looking a lot better than I expected them to be. They're doing very well, containing people, stopping people, pressuring the quarterback in general. So I think that's going to help them a lot. And like you said, the Chargers offense has just been incredible. They have such a passing and rushing presence. You can't just stop one and hope the other one isn't going to be good. So I have to say the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Chargers too. I think they've just been playing amazing. And I feel like the Ravens, they've been incredibly talented. Lamar Jackson was playing amazing, but I feel like that streak just has to come to an end at some point, and I think that's going to be with the Chargers.
All right, next up, Vikings versus Panthers. Christian McCaffrey is not going to be playing. Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, and Justin Jefferson, they're all questionable.
I'm taking the Vikings here.
Vikings.
I'm going to go with the Panthers.
Next game, Packers versus Bears. Jair Alexander is out. Aaron Jones could be out. Khalil Mack, Allen Robertson, Damian Williams are all questionable, and David Montgomery is out.
Give me the Packers.
Go with the Packers.
Bengals, Lions. Joe Mixon is questionable. Trey Flowers, TJ Hawkinson, and DeAndre Swift are all questionable.
Give me the Bengals.
Bungle.
Go with the Bengals.
And then now for the Texans versus the Colts, Tyrod Taylor and Laramie Tunsil, they're both out. And Darius Leonard is questionable. Quentin Nelson, he will not be playing. He's out.
Give me the Colts.
Colts.
I think I'm going to have to go for the Colts.
Rams, Giants, Aaron Donald, questionable. Saquon and Kelly Galladay are doubtful. Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton, and Danny Jones are questionable.
Give me the Rams, baby.
I hate to say it, but give me the Rams.
Rams.
Chiefs versus the Washington football team. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out. Tyreek Hill and Chris Jones are questionable. Antonio Gibson and Curtis Samuel are questionable.
Give me the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Cardinals versus Browns.
Yeah.
Baker, he's averaging 313 passing yards against contenders. The Cardinals defense has given up an average of 139 rushing yards per game. And the Browns are averaging most rushing yards in the league at 187 per game. Fourth best defense belongs to the Browns, and the sixth best offense in the NFL belongs to the Cardinals. Some injuries to the Cardinals include Chase Edmonds, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray are all questionable. Chandler Jones and Rodney Hudson are out, and Jordan Hicks is questionable. For the Browns, Nick Chubb is questionable, along with Jadeveon Clowney, Jack Conklin, Myles Garrett, Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, Greg Newsome, Denzel Ward, and Jarek Willis.
The Browns have a lot of injuries, but I honestly have faith in them this week. I think they're going to be the first team to beat the Cardinals, at home. And, this defense is looking really good. If Denzel Ward plays, and Myles Garrett, they've both got to play for them to be able to win. But I actually did see that Nick Chubb is officially out, so they would be without him. But I think Kareem Hunt's still going to be good enough on the rush attack, for them to put up some numbers. So give me the Browns this week.
I was looking at taking the Browns before I heard all those injuries. So with that being said, I think I'm going to have to stick with the Cardinals going, was it 6-0? Yeah. Let's go Cards.
I'd have to go with the Browns because, the Browns looked really, really good last week. And honestly, the Cardinals didn't look as good last week. To only beat San Francisco with a rookie quarterback 17-10, that's not what a 6-0 team should be doing. And the Browns looked really good. So I'm going to do the Browns.
Couple 4 o'clocks include the Raiders versus the Broncos. Darren Waller is questionable. Melvin Gordon and Kareem Jackson are questionable. And Jerry Jeudy and Bradley Chubb will not be playing.
Oh, man, this is a tough one because these teams are both on the decline.
I'm going to go with the Broncos. First week without head coach, going with the Broncos.
Broncos.
Yeah, I'll take the Broncos.
Dumbass.
Cowboys versus Patriots. Trayvon Diggs and Zeke are questionable. Damian Harris is questionable. And 3 Patriots O-linemen are not going to be playing. They're going to be all out.
Cowboys,
give me the
baby.
Cowboys, baby. They're going to fuck them. They're going to fuck them.
All right. Seahawks versus Steelers. Seahawks have the worst rated defense in the NFL. Legion of Boom is no more. The Steelers have the 6th worst offense. Geno Smith is 1-1 against the Steelers, and he's averaging 100 rushing yards per game. Seahawks only 2 wins this year.
That's just yards. That's total yards. He's averaging
total yards
against the Steelers.
Geno Smith is 1-1 against the Steelers, and he totals about 100 yards a game. And the Seahawks only have 2 wins this year. And both those wins, they're on the road. Steelers have a 9-4 record on Sunday night under Mike Tomlin. Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, Bobby Wagner are all questionable with Russell Wilson. He won't be playing for a couple weeks. Steelers are missing Tyson Alualu. Chase Claypool, Cameron Hayward, Big Ben are questionable. Juju will not be playing.
Obviously, I'm going to go with the hometown pick here. I think the Steelers are going to win. Their defense is mostly healthy. Big Ben looked really good last week against the Broncos, and I think he will be able to keep that up against the worst-rated defense in the NFL right now.
Yeah, Seahawks defense is pretty much dog water, and with Geno Smith coming in, I know he looked decent last week, but he's still a backup quarterback, so I'm going to have to go with the Steelers.
Yeah, I never have a lot of faith in backup quarterbacks. I'm going to have to go with the Steelers, too.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, he finally takes the fucking Steelers for
dumb
him.
whore.
All right, for the Monday night game, Bills versus Texans. The Bills were only allowing 78 rush yards a game, and the Titans' offense is averaging 168 rushing yards a game. The Bills have 14 sacks, while the Titans are allowed about 12. The Bills have 14 sacks, while the Titans have allowed 20 sacks over the year. The last time they played, the Titans won 42-16. Josh Allen in that game threw 2 picks. Diggs had 106 yards, and Derrick Henry only had 57 yards on 19 carries. Injuries to the Bills. Only Matt Milano, he's questionable. For the Titans, Jaylen Brown is out. Rashad Evans is questionable. Taylor Lewin is questionable. And Roger Saffold is questionable.
I'm going to take the Bills here for obvious reasons. I think they're looking like the best team in the AFC. And, the Titans have struggled with their offensive line. So I think that pass attack for the Bills, will be tough. And, so I think it's obvious here. I think the Bills are going to thrive this week.
Yeah, I think the Bills are going to have a lot of sacks on Tannehill. And as we've seen that before, that when the Cardinals played them, it was the same thing, and it wasn't even a close game. So I'm going to have to go with the Bills.
Yeah, we've seen the Titans struggling to get into a flow this season. And, we saw it with the Bills too, but the Bills have definitely been picking up in recent games. So I'm going to go with the Bills.
All right, well, that's all of our, picks for this week. Thank you guys for joining. We covered a lot today. So hopefully everybody enjoys just as much as Justin is going to enjoy the chip he's going to have to eat, later in the week. I'm really excited for that. That's going to be so much fun to watch as he continues to lose. Justin, how many technical punishments has this been for you now?
2.
Okay. I will say the 1 week that Ryan got one, the waxing of the legs, we were going to do it, but then I realized that I messed up and both of you actually had the same worst record. So technically I didn't give the punishment to Ryan because I felt like it would have been unfair.
There's no punishment. We should punish Dylan for being a bad
for being a poor host.
But all right, well, thank you, boys and girls, for watching. We appreciate it. We will see, if the Chiefs are able to recover and, if the Cardinals will stay undefeated. So thank you guys for joining the pod today, and we will see you next week. Stop.
And